We are quickly approaching the end of the year, and 2024 has been an interesting year for comics. We've seen a lot of fresh starts, a lot of getting back to the basics that people love, and 2024 has been the year that's gotten me excited for new releases and getting out to the comic shops. So I can't wait to bring to you my list, my picks for the top 10 comics stories of 2024. So we're starting off the list at number 10 and working our way down to number 1. So stay tuned to see my favorite comic of the year. First off, Wonder Woman number 7 by Tom King and Gilliam March. I look at this story as kind of a one-shot within Tom King's run. I was not reading his run, but I picked this story up as a Batman fan because to me, this story, even though it got some hate when it came out for not being action-packed enough, I think really gets the Trinity better than a lot of stories that have come out in recent years. To me, this story was just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see Wonder Woman and Superman just kind of powing around, looking for a birthday gift for Batman, and it really just makes you think of that one person in your life that's impossible to shop for. And you really get one of the most Batman moments at the end of this comic that I've seen in recent memory. So even if you aren't reading Wonder Woman, this story reads so well on its own. It's full of Easter eggs, so this is really one for the true DC fans out there, and I think you'll really like it, so check it out. So at number 9, I'm going with Hellblazer, Dead in America by C. Spurrier, art by Aaron Campbell. So John Constantine is back, kind of. He's dead and his body is decaying. He's on the run for murder, and his friend and possibly son are along for the ride with him across America. And while evil takes many forms, it is up to John to mess everything up and eventually save the day. So, for classic fans of Hellblazer, I highly recommend this one. Check it out. So at number 8, I'm going with Green Lantern War Journal by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Montos. This is a story that started at the end of 2023 and carried on through most of 2024, so I will qualify it for this list. As a big Green Lantern fan, there really hasn't been much that's piqued my interest or kind of shaken up the Green Lantern lore since Blackest Night. I feel like the universe is becoming too crowded with characters who really don't add much. So I was really, really excited to see a story focusing on Jon Stewart and his cosmic chaos facing off against the Revenant Queen. However, the true heart of this story comes from Jon's love for his family and the heartbreaking truth that no matter how many lives he saves with his constructs, he cannot construct a new reality for those he loves. So at number 7, I'm going with Hyde Street by Jeff Johns and art by Ivan Reis. And this is a story that has really just kind of taken me off guard. Of course, when Ghost Machine launched, I love Jeff Johns. I love his work with Green Lantern. He's such a fantastic world builder, so of course I was going to check out everything he was writing, and so I definitely wanted to check out Hyde Street, but I didn't really know anything about it going in other than it was a horror story, and I like horror. I like seeing some good horror when it's done right, and I would say that this is definitely done right. It's very interesting. It's kind of like people's sort of sins coming back to them and the time they would least expect it, like just walking across the street carrying groceries. Definitely more of an anthology type story. It kind of has a little bit of like a Twilight Zone kind of feel, where all of these different people have their crimes of the past sort of brought back to them, and there's a very, very interesting cast of characters that stay on Hyde Street. And so I'm very excited to follow the shenanigans of all of these characters, of Pranky, of Dr. X-Ray, and I'm excited to see where this series goes in 2025. At number 6, I'm going with House of Brainiac by Joshua Williamson and Raphael Sandoval as the primary artist. So Joshua Williamson's run on Superman has been one of the standout titles from the Dawn of DC era, in my opinion, and I feel like House of Brainiac is just kind of the culmination of everything that was being built up, and I absolutely love this story. You can read it on its own. You don't need to know anything else about Joshua Williamson's run, so you could just pick up a trade of this and get the whole gist of it. It starts off and it just gets you right into the action. First issue just kind of sets the stage for Superman and everything you kind of need to know about his lore and his cast of characters and how they are all affected by Brainiac and his invasion and the Zarnians, and you get to learn a little bit more about Lobo and about what happened to his race of people and about why Brainiac has this army of Lobos. And towards the end, it's very interesting kind of getting into some of the philosophy of Brainiac. And the main man is back and better than ever, and seeing Lobo and Superman team up is just some of the most fun I have had reading comics in a long time. So definitely check out House of Brainiac. Action-packed, full of good stuff, and you don't need to read Absolute Power. You don't need to read anything else. You can just pick this up and get everything you need out of it. So definitely concludes the whole sort of Brainiac saga, in my opinion, sort of wraps it all up perfectly. And kicking off the top 5 with a Batman comic, we have The Final Night. Sorry, I misspoke. It's actually The First Night, not the 90s comic featuring Green Lantern as Parallax. My bad. By Dan Jurgens and art by Mike Perkins. This is a great, great Elseworld style story. This was under Black Label. It was like right before they brought back the Elseworlds imprint, and I was thinking, with all these different kinds of Batman stories they have coming out, it's no time before they brought back the Elseworlds label. So I was very, very happy about that. So this story is essentially like if modern day Batman, with his modern day philosophies and just everything we know about who Batman is today, if his story was being told in the Golden Age. And that's really cool to me because I love like 1940s media. I'm a big fan of old movies, and I do have a great respect and appreciation for the Golden Age comics. However, I think we can all admit that storytelling has come a long way since then, and Batman's characterization has also come a long way since his earliest appearances. So it's very nice to see that Batman we know today, the hero that we love in that different time period, told in the style of the Golden Age. And so it's really cool. It's really cool to see what it could have been like if the writing was a little bit more advanced back then, if people took comic books a little bit more seriously. So I really enjoyed. There are a lot of things that I wasn't expecting in this story. So full of surprises, full of fun, very, very dark and gritty. So if that's what you're looking for, definitely check this one out. And it's another one that you don't need to read anything else to understand. Getting into The next one, we have Absolute Batman. Some of you might be a little surprised that it's this low on the list, but there really just were that many comics I liked this year. So I've already talked extensively about Absolute Batman, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. This was a fresh start, a new look at the character by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta on art, and at first the art style was really not my favorite, but it's definitely grown on me, the look of Absolute Batman, seeing it in action as opposed to just the original still images we got. It's definitely grown on me, and I'm very, very excited to see where this and the rest of the Absolute titles go in 2025. Moving into number 3 and continuing with the Absolute trend, we have Absolute Wonder Woman. Now, some of you might be surprised because if you watched my ranking video, I said Absolute Batman was my favorite, but after reading issue number 2, I am far more excited for Absolute Wonder Woman going into the new year, and that is not at all an insult to Absolute Batman, but Wonder Woman just has me hooked. The idea of Wonder Woman and the United States military going against literal demons from hell, sign me the fuck up! As someone who loves stuff about war, stuff about history, and motherfucking demons, hell yeah, okay. So number 2. We have the Lobo Cancellation Special by Kyle Starks and art by Kyle Hotz. And these are two gentlemen I'd never heard of before, but oh my goodness, they wrote the best Lobo story probably ever. I love Lobo as a character. He's a lot of fun to read, but he's not a character that I think really belongs in an ongoing series. I think he's definitely best in these sort of one-shot, sort of fast-paced kind of stories. And I think this story just really got him right. And so, yeah, I love it. Action-packed, bloody good time. I'm not going to spoil anything. Just check it out if you want some good Lobo. This year has really been the comeback for Lobo, the true Lobo, and I hope that this is building up to something great that we might see in James Gunn's DCU. So I would really enjoy like an anthology type of Lobo series, not so much a connected canon universe, just sort of make it off the walls, crazy, let people come in and do whatever they want, new creative team every issue. That would be fun to me, so I'm excited to see what Lobo does in 2025, and his Cancellation Special, one of the best comics in general of this year, of all time, and probably the best Lobo comic in my own humble opinion. And we're finishing off the list. I'm sure a lot of you, if you've been following me, you could see this coming from a mile away, but it is Rook Exodus by Jeff Johns, art by Jason Fabok, and this story has been the biggest surprise to me. So when Ghost Machine was announcing their initial lineup, this was the book that interested me the least, but surprised me the most. And it just really, really goes to show what a great storyteller, character writer, and world builder that Jeff Johns is, because he was able to just completely build this huge universe out of nothing, and he was able to just take this weird random concept into something that I think is going to be huge. They're currently going on a hiatus, and I think that is all for the best, and I'm so excited to see where they take it in 2025. The artwork is so incredibly detailed, and I know that's why they're taking a break, because it just is too demanding. But I would much rather have quality over quantity. So if you have not been following Ghost Machine and you don't know anything about it, it is Jeff Johns' own imprint, Image Comics, and he has been putting out some fantastic books. Rook Exodus is about a group that has fled Earth to a planet called Exodus, and they're essentially wardens. They're given these helmets of different animals, and they have the power to control the animals of the planet, and it's just very, very cool. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's so much to be excited for, and so I really can't wait to see what Jeff Johns does with this and the rest of the Ghost Machine lineup. So if you haven't been reading Ghost Machine, definitely check all of the titles out. They're all getting second, third, fourth printings. They're selling out like crazy, and Rook Exodus is the one that I've been seeing get the most buzz, the most hype. It's just so cool, so unique. Every character has such a unique look and abilities. Don't sleep on this one. In my opinion, this has probably been the most exciting thing in comics since Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern, that's shaken up the industry so much. I mean, this man he really knows how to build a world up from nothing, and so I'm all here for Ghost Machine, and you should be too. So let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your favorite comics of the year, and I would also love to hear what you're most excited for in 2025. Whether it's TV, movies, comics, just what are you looking forward to the most? And I hope you enjoyed my list.